In a big modern mansion on a mountainside lives a successful businessman named Chris. He receives a call from his ex-wife Jamie, who is asking him to sign their long overdue divorce and alimony papers. Chris seems remorseful about their ending relationship because Jamie feels like he has been too focused on his work to spend time with her and their daughter Willow. While tucking Willow into bed, Jamie assures her daughter that she still loves Chris even if they're separated. That night, Chris is doing some grocery shopping when a woman calls out to him asking for wine recommendations. She introduces herself as Sky, saying that she had a bad day and wants to drink it away. After Chris gives her a wine recommendation, they part ways, but Sky's Uber had been cancelled, so Chris offers to take her home in his car. They drive to the motel where Sky is living in, but she doesn't feel like coming home as her roommate, whom she had a big fight with earlier, is still awake. Chris proposes that they hang out at his house before he drives Sky back. They come to Chris's house and drink wine together while talking about their work. Chris is a retired businessman who owned a home security system, while Sky used to be a model in Los Angeles before coming to the town and becoming a waitress at a cocktail bar. They drink and talk until past midnight, when Sky mentions that her roommate is probably asleep now. However, Chris invites her to stay the night and they end up dancing on the bed. When Chris wakes up the next morning, Sky has gone back to the motel, greeted by her frantic roommate Lisa, who has been staying up all night wondering where Sky went. It turns out that Sky is staying at Lisa's place, and Sky tells her to resolve the fight later. After his encounter with Sky, Chris's mind is plagued by memories of him and his daughter, so he decides to go and visit the bar Sky works at. They talk and Chris mentions that he has an ex-wife who tells him to move on, causing Sky to feel a bit uneasy. Afterwards, they walk together and Sky confesses that she doesn't have a family and she was raised in foster care. Chris then shares that his childhood is troubled as his parents have always been absent. When they approach Chris's car, they see someone is trying to steal it. Chris tries to fight the thief, but when Sky throws a bottle at him, the thief retaliates and beats Chris using his crowbar. As a result, his leg is broken and Sky takes him home from the hospital in a wheelchair. Sky feels bad because she thinks Chris's injury is her fault, so she offers to take care of him. While he recovers, Chris invites her to move in with him and she agrees before leaving his house to go grab her stuff. Meanwhile, at the motel, Lisa is once again waiting for Sky when her landlord Ronald tells her that she used to be happier before Sky moved in. Suddenly Sky shows up saying that he's just jealous. Before entering the house, Lisa is upset that Sky won't tell her where she went all night, but Sky tries to calm her down by kissing her. It turns out that they are actually lovers, but Sky still returns to Chris's house to move in. They spend their time making out and enjoying each other, even making Chris ignore Jamie's call. After Sky tucks him into bed, Chris confesses that he loves her and Sky says the feeling is mutual, although it scares her. Back at the motel, Ronald enters Lisa's room to ask her about her overdue rent, but is shocked to see her dead in the bathtub with wounds on her wrists. The police come to investigate her death, asking Ronald if there's any foul play. Ronald believes that she sent herself to the afterlife because of Sky moving out, but the detective questions Sky's true identity as they can't find her supposed name on the registry. Suddenly the media shows up at the motel to cover the news, to the detective's dismay. In Chris's house, he receives a call from Jamie, who's asking for the divorce papers. He tells her about his injury, prompting her to offer to drive Willow to his house on the weekend to cheer him up. He agrees and tells Jamie that he hired a private care nurse to take care of him. When she questions his action, Chris feels irritated and hangs up on her. Meanwhile, the new couple starts to snoop at each other as Sky takes Chris's phone while he's asleep and Chris tries to go through her bag while she's showering. Sky caught him after he saw her pictures with Lisa. He apologizes for snooping, but Sky says that she'd do the same if she were in his position. That night, Sky enters Willow's room in the house and lays on the bed while holding a teddy bear. One morning, Chris is looking for his missing phone when he sees the news about Lisa's death. When Sky comes home bringing chicken and starts to eat, he looks at her suspiciously before asking if she's seen his lost phone. After Sky dismisses him, he tells her about Lisa's death, but she doesn't seem fazed. To his horror, she confesses that she's the one who killed Lisa and Sky only used her to be able to stop Chris's house from her room to figure out his routine. Scared and betrayed, Chris tries to get out of the house, but Sky locks the door using Chris's phone, which is connected to the house's security system. She then tases him until he passes out. When Chris regains his consciousness, he is now tied to his wheelchair as Sky reveals that she's doing this to take his wealth. She kicks him down and demands that he gives her all of his credentials and passwords. Of course he refuses, but then Sky starts to interrogate him by drilling his injured leg. Meanwhile, in Lisa's room, Ronald is planning to clean the place up. When he sees the telescope that Sky uses to spy on Chris in her room, he is surprised to see Sky inside Chris's house and decides to observe her as she transfers all of Chris's money in the bank to her account. Afterward, she wipes off Chris's sweat and tells him the next phase of her plan, which is to make him call his lawyers to liquidate all of his assets and create a company for her called Sky Company. As witnessed by Ronald, Sky cuts his restraints to prepare him for the Zoom meetings, but he uses the opportunity to throw away the scissors and choke her on the floor. Sky eventually manages to take the scissors and stab Chris's shoulder, freeing herself. Sky then threatens to hurt Jamie and Willow, forcing Chris to cooperate with her demands. Continuing her plan, Sky takes over the communication lines too. The next day, she welcomes the man who tried to steal Chris's car earlier. Kiju apparently working together with her to buy off all of Chris's wine artwork and furniture collection. Later, when Sky leaves the house in Chris's car, Ronald drives to the house and breaks in. He wants to help Chris escape on the condition that he gets paid a lot of money first, so Chris tells him to take the remaining painting that is supposedly worth $6 million. Sky, who had seen Ronald break in through the security cameras, returns to the house. Ronald takes a knife and threatens Sky, but she reveals that she has a katana and starts locking the doors, prompting him to beg her to let him go. She lets Ronald escape further into the house before telling Chris to watch the security cameras as she pursues Ronald slowly. She taunts him with loud, menacing music and follows him to the garage, cornering him and stabbing him to death. During all this, Chris manages to escape his bondage and goes outside to escape using a snow bike. However, the bike trips on a rock, throwing Chris in the air until he falls onto the street in front of a moving car. The car stops and the driver helps Chris up into the passenger seat. While Chris tells him that a woman is trying to kill him, the driver calls 911 for him. As Chris tries to explain his predicament, he realizes that the driver is taking him back to his house and that the woman on the phone is actually Sky. Chris is being wheelchaired back into the living room after looking beat up. Sky then kisses the man before excusing herself to go wash up. The man reveals himself to be Sebastian, Sky's lover and stepfather, who implied that he killed her mother after marrying her and then mentoring Sky to be a con artist. He is targeting Chris because he has resentment towards rich people who have a head start towards their success. That night, Chris hears the two criminals make love before Sky approaches him. She talks about how she actually enjoyed playing Chris's lover, but it was all just fantasy. Chris asks why they're still in his house when they've taken everything from him. But she reminds him that he still has $14 million worth of bearer bonds stored in a bank safety deposit box. They need his thumbprint to gain access to the deposit box, so they cut off his thumb brutally. In the morning, Jamie and Willow arrive at the house for a visit, and Willow immediately runs to a room to grab her favorite plushie. Meanwhile, Jamie is horrified at the state of the house and calls out to Chris when Sky comes into the living room carrying Willow. She playfully introduces herself as Chris's nurse before Sebastian joins them, making Jamie question where Chris is. Sky then throws the confused Jamie and Willow into the shed where they locked Chris in. The family has a tearful reunion while Sky and Sebastian prepare their con to break into Chris's deposit box. On the way, Sebastian mentions that Sky seems off during this heist, but she tells him to just focus on their plan. They then successfully con their way into opening the deposit box, bypassing the biometric scan. In the shed, Chris notices a vent that leads outside, so he has the idea to send Willow out to unlock the shed and free them. Initially, Jamie doesn't agree as it's too dangerous, but they have no other choice. While Willow crawls inside the vent, Chris tells Jamie that Sky is going to get his bonds at the bank, but Jamie says that she had taken the bonds as leverage for their divorce and has put them in another deposit box. They panic, knowing that the couple would have noticed by now and would be heading back to take Jamie's finger. But Willow has successfully escaped through the vent. On the way back to the house, Sebastian checks the security cameras and sees that Willow has escaped into the house. They enter the house and Sebastian gives Sky a gun, telling her to kill Chris and find Jamie. Sebastian takes Chris's phone with him and searches the house. Sebastian doesn't find Willow and Jamie, who are hiding in one of the rooms. When Sebastian is standing in front of a door, Chris jumps out and cuts him with an axe, causing the phone to fall on the floor. Sebastian tells Sky, who is aiming the gun at Chris, to shoot him. When she instead keeps asking where Jamie is, Sebastian calls her a witch, causes Sky to shoot him dead. Chris uses this opportunity to take the axe and whack at her shoulder before running away with his phone and hiding. After removing the axe, Sky starts looking for Chris once more, but he is now using his house's system to taunt her and send an SOS message to the police. He turns off all the lights and tells Sky to come to find him, making her antsy by setting off the lights and doors in his house. Sky collapses on the floor as the police arrive and utters her real name, Margaret, to Chris before she dies. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe and see you on the next video. Love you.